is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GMologist Presents. Thank you so much for listening this year. This is going to be the end of the year recap. I do have a message as well. I'm very excited about that. It's a message on the review that Dark Fluid and I did on heavy metal from Jason Connerly. So we'll hear his message and get to that, and then I'll talk about how the games are going and what's going on. And I apologize in advance for my voice. I'm getting over a sore throat, and I hope it doesn't sound too scratchy, but let's get on with it. And here's Jason's message.
Hey, Carl and Dark Fluid. Really enjoyed your discussion of heavy metal. Maybe I missed it, and there's a throwaway comment, but I'm surprised there wasn't a bigger discussion on the influence that the Harry Canyon short had on the Fifth Element.
Well, thank you so much for that insight and that message, Jason. And I've been able to get Dark Fluid on here to answer the question or the comment with me. So, what do you think?
Yeah,
Dark,
I can't believe it's so obvious now in hindsight that it's one of those I can't believe I didn't think of it before.
yeah,
Um,
flying
uh,
cars and flying taxis and everything, right?
yeah, exactly. Taxi driver versus, rescues rescues girl and gets embroiled in, you know, in intergalactic turmoil with you know, some sort of powerful evil behind
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, but
Ex-
there definitely is some connection. I think we looked up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I looked up too, and it's the writer said he really was heavily inspired by Mobius, which of course then
Right.
exactly is Mobius' story in heavy
Hmm.
metal there. And also Jean-Claude, I'm gonna butcher his last name, Mazaret,
Hmm.
who did the Illyrian comic book
Oh
series, which
yeah.
I don't think he did any heavy metal stuff, but I mean, he was just as influential. He was, if not more influential. He was super influential with a lot of his
Right. That
work.
sort of like French noir sci-fi stuff. I think
Hmm.
actually there was a game that uh, Keep on the Borderlands Spencer recently opened. Like he did an unboxing and he opened it and it did, and he was like, oh, this reminds me of this sort of French kind of sci-fi thing. I was like, oh, that's like Valerian, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. The movie wasn't so great, but I think
It,
we need to play in that universe.
yeah, I'm glad it got made at least.
Hmm.
And it was a big budget movie.
Yeah.
It did have some interesting things to it. Not but probably worth a watch just for
Mhm.
the effects and the sci-fi.
Yeah. Just the world building, I think. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it because it goes out there in a lot of places that other big budget sci-fi movies don't.
right.
Um, and so, I mean, worth watch if even just for that.
And of course, I now I want to watch Fifth Element again.
Yeah,
Just now
yeah.
to it's like, oh, is that? But I mean, of course, well, we did total spoilers on heavy metal, so spoiler for Fifth Element, Lilu doesn't betray Bruce Willis's character, so. And the guy who does great, who almost steals the show, is oh man, um,
Uh,
Chris Tucker, right?
Chris Tucker that's what I was gonna say. Is it Chris Tucker?
Yeah, it's Chris
It was
Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
My memory though, it's been a while.
yeah,
Yeah, it was Chris Tucker because Chris Tucker was also with Jackie Chan.
yeah.
He did the
Hmm.
the what was it? Can't trying to remember the name of their series of movies.
Right. Shanghai
But
Nights.
yeah, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was Chris Tucker.
yeah, that was
So
good. So he did fantastic. And also the world building in that one is really good. Although, and it's really funny. I remember when we were watching it. I think for some reason we're playing Traveler at the time when it came out, and then someone's like, "Oh, that's just like the way those bad guys acted when they took out the leader. That's
hmm
just like Varger, type of thing." So
Yeah, yeah.
that was pretty funny. So we could see some elements, some sci-fi tropes that are common in classic sci-fi and space
Yeah, the
opera.
influences are definitely, I mean, the influence is definitely there. And I think, that's I think that just points out that even for someone like us was back experienced this originally back then and then watched
Hmm.
the subsequent movies and media that was influenced, even when the influence is so obvious and so strong, sometimes you overlook it because it's become such a part of the meta and
Yeah,
such a part of the genre. Like they are the genre, these early works.
right,
Almost
for
like
sure.
Tolkien is with fantasy, where you don't even think about,
Hmm.
elves, dwarves, and hobbits anymore
Hobbits
because
anymore because they're so commonplace, and people who don't know are like, oh, that's a D&D thing when it really isn't.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's great. So thanks again, Jason, for calling in and for reminding us about the fifth element and that connection.
Yeah,
Like we
and for
said,
those of
similar.
you who don't know, because I know he's not very well known, but Jason hosts the Nerds RPG Variety Class. You should probably go check that out if you
award
haven't
winning,
already. Yeah.
award winning, well, future award winning. I'm going to nominate it. All right. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me again, Dark Fluid. We'll have to
Yeah.
get together again and talk some more gaming.
Yeah, definitely.
We did a great series with Rune Quest, so we'll have to find another one. Although I think we probably will be getting together because I think our Hyperborea.
Actually, that was
No,
Rollmaster, just to correct you.
sorry, Rune Quest. We got to talk about Rune Quest. No, Rollmaster. Yeah, of course. It was
Another
Rollmaster.
D100, another
Yeah,
D100.
yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
we've done a lot of Hyperborea. We've got a lot of experience. That's been a great
yeah,
campaign.
we did a retrospective relatively recently. So I don't know. I think that's the only. We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, I
What
would
games
love
are
to
you
just
playing now?
what games am I playing now? I haven't been able to play that many other than at cons.
Hmm.
I've been in two regular games. One is your Hyperborea game, which is several years old, and the other game I've been in is actually several years old now, which is Mike Chicago Wiz,
Oh, neat.
his Battlestar
Oh,
Galactica
with Traveler.
Traveler.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
should get on maybe. Have you played? So you played that's classic Traveler. I know he's using
that's
classic.
yeah. What is it, 77 or
Yeah. So
70? I'm gonna
have you
get the
played any other Travelers?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Okay.
That's been the only one. I've had a couple opportunities, but no time.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
but I mean, we've had, I've done some other one shots and things, but those are the only ongoing games. And of
yeah.
course, I've
Because
also played in your X-Crawl Cat Classics
oh
game
yeah,
recently, which is always fun.
that's fun. That's a yeah, but that's kind of fun game. So I hope we can continue that. And maybe we'll get the Yankee game going.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
that's a pretty bold goal. That's
maybe when we finish Hyperborea, because you guys are in the end game and or in Hyperborea, kind of
yeah,
fell into it almost in the last episode.
yeah,
So in our last session, so we'll see maybe after that or to replace something. But we will see. But we can talk movies. I think we should really plan to do Spine of Night. I think, and maybe do some of the Love, Death, and Robots. I don't know if
yeah. I'm
that's
more than happy to do. Spine of
well,
Night would be a great one to do.
yeah, yeah, because it's very similar sci-fi cartoon anthology
Hmm.
to heavy metal, but more contemporary. Same thing with Love, Death, and Robots, right? So maybe we can check those out and come on again, or
Yeah,
or books. So
sounds good.
always love to have you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks again, Jason, for that message, and Dark Fluid for taking the time to join me to answer it. And then we talked about other things, of course, what games he's playing, what games we're thinking about. But before I get into that, and I'm sure you'll hear some of that again, let's talk about the games that are going on right now. I mean, we've had a lot of play this fall. It's been sporadic. If you follow the YouTube, you know we've had some weeks where we only have one instead of a couple or three uh, videos out. We're still trying to work on our YouTube and get that going. It's been going really well, and we want just to make it better and improve, and maybe at some point invest in some better equipment. And once we get settled, get things going between my producer, my wife, Spinola, Amy, and myself. and I have a great group of guys that come on and play, um, along with Amy, who joins some of the games sometimes. And I'd love to have more of you. So let me know what you're into or interested in maybe joining, and we can talk about it. So let's get into the various games that I'm running. I think the best way to tackle this is to just go by the days of the week. Really, I mean, it's like that Beatles song, 8 days a week. I mean, I run a game more or less every day over a 2 week period. Some of them rotate. Sometimes I have a day off. It just depends. So I do have room to join games. I know Paul Wolf and I talked about that. When am I going to join one of his games? When is he going to join one of my games? We both play a lot of games, and of course he's even more dedicated because he's getting his playtest on his product and coming up with new things. So it's we're busy people, and then there's work, and then there's family. So you know how it is. So take 3 hours out of the day every day to do a game. It's kind of cool. Anyway, um, Monday. Monday, I have two games that sort of rotate. Traveler, the second edition August Traveler, been running, and I've been running a campaign I call Order of the March, and it's been going well. It has suffered recently from not making. We have 3 players, had 4 in and out who have left. It's like the drummer of Spinal Tap. The 4th player just kind of has to leave, has to go. It is what it is. But with 3 players, if one person's out, it's a little more challenging, especially with what's going on. More or less, it's a sandbox type of campaign. Although I am running through Mysteries of the Ancients, but we don't skip jumps. We jump from world to world on the ship that they have, and adventure might come their way when we get to a particular location or not. So I'm enjoying that game a lot. I still have a lot more to tell with it. They are currently on traveling across the bright face of a world that is in it wouldn't be shadow because it's not the shadow, but is in the danger zone of a red giant. It's this rock world that has mining interests, and it should be interesting what they find and what they're starting to see, I think, and we'll go from there. Like I said, I think there's a lot more story to tell, and I hope the players agree with it and continue on, and we get back to some sort of regular schedule as I ease into my new work life. So let's see what the future holds for 2026 with Traveler Order of the March. Opposite that, on the Monday, I've started, and this one's also very sporadic, is an Eberron campaign that I call Tales from the Broken Anvil, and it's with Streamrolla and the Arcane Alienist, and they play like a duo. I think Eberron is really good at fantasy noir. They're a duo, like a thinker and a heavy, and it's a really good cast for this type of play, I think. And they're running through Shadows of the Last War, and we'll see how that goes. And if we want to continue, Shadows of the Last War is an old 3.5 adventure that I've adapted to 2024, whatever, and it's not that difficult to anyway. So it's been fun so far, and I hope we can get back into it again. The holidays have caused it to be sporadic, and so we'll see how that goes. Tuesday has been Twilight 2000. I think I have the opposite Tuesdays free right now. That may change, depends. But Twilight 2000, and we ran this 5-year long campaign set in south central Poland, sort of around the city of Krakow. Sort of the traditional campaign where you're on your own, getting into the free city of Krakow, Pirates of the Vistula, Black Madonna, and Ruins of Warsaw. And we ran that, and that was pretty amazing. We had a great and pause to it. I think sort of a Christmas celebration, right? Krakow 2000, no Krakow, yeah, Krakow 2000. Maybe there's a song. No, there's no song, but it'd be cool if Trans Siberian Orchestra did a song like Sarajevo 1999, Krakow 2000 in the TTK world. Anyway, I'm going way off tangent. I don't know. I probably need to take a little pause here because my throat is starting to itch or hurt, and I'm losing it. But anyway, we still are playing TTK, but not that campaign. In fact, I am running Red Star Lone Star. We have several sessions on the books, and I hope to continue at least finish through. I think the players have been really efficient. It's a good group of players. My wife, and then we have the host of Live from Pelham the Wasteland, and my friend Vicente, and yeah, they're the host of Live from Pelham the Wasteland being Carlin, and we're doing a great job. I think it's a sort of the three cast of characters with some NPCs, and they have a M3 Bradley, and they haven't really fired it up yet, but maybe that'll happen soon. But they've been pretty efficient traveling down the coast of South Texas, and they find themselves a mission on top of their actual mission, and we'll see where that leads. I really enjoy that system. It's Fallout 2000, the fourth edition. It has a lot of cool moving parts, and I think it's a really good game. I don't know if Paul and I were talking about it. I don't know if it was recorded, but we do really enjoy that game, and I don't know if he'll guest appear on it or I'll run something else. Maybe even something different out of San Antonio or Victoria or something related in that South Texas area. Who knows? Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're on to Wednesday. I got a drink of some bubbly, not champagne. It's actually a orange vanilla flavored sparkling water. Maybe that'll help. Wednesdays, Flip Flops, Hyperborea, and another Traveler game. Also using Mongoose Second Edition. The Hyperborea game originally was a sort of the concept was a West Marches, but I have I feel like 4 dedicated players that are pretty regular, have their characters like 5th, 6th level in Hyperborea, and they're nominally I started this campaign at North Texas RPG Con in 2004, and one of the players there was Dark Fluid, who you've heard on my show, and he said, "Hey, let's run this into a campaign." So we got other people to join on board, actually, and I think Erx and Arcane Alienist actually came on and did like a playtest session 03 for the concept. And the concept is the Amazons have wanted to have this port in between their island and the big city in Hyperborea, which I don't call off the top of my head. I apologize, Jeff. But anyway, it's about halfway. It's on this archipelago, and they started a fort. They put a fort there, and they're encouraging adventurers to come and clear the wilderness of this island. It has a lot of mystery about it, and finally, after about a year and a year and a half, yeah. Finally, after a year and a half, the characters have literally stumbled, falling through a chute and down a shaft into the actual caverns of Thracia, Janelle Jacquet's dungeon adventure with factions and all that. They've skirted around it and run into some of the denizens of the factions. One of them actually has a warband of lizard folk that they've allied with. Things change, you know. You gotta go with emergent. You gotta go with a 2d6 reaction roll, and it ends up being a 12. Okay, it happens. So I really use that a lot actually in my OSR type of games. Just I don't want to be the GM that dictates who plays favorites. So yeah, give me a good speech, but we're rolling that reaction roll. Maybe I'll give you a bonus if it did hit sort of the touchstones for the motivations of this particular NPC. But we roll and you piss them off or you don't, or they're whatever. So it's a great table, and it's even more granular in AD&D 1E because there's bonuses and minuses that you can have, and it's also D100 as opposed to 3D6. But anyway, excuse me for that. And then Traveler, I think Hyperborea is good. Before I get into Traveler, sorry, Hyperborea, I feel like it's coming towards its end though, as they explore and conquer the caverns of Thracia, maybe, or maybe I'll pause it and then think, okay, what they're done on these islands, what's next? And I have some ideas of what I could do next. In the world of Hyperborea, one of my favorite settings and game systems. I like to play it. I like to run it at conventions as well. I ran a really cool one shot that I probably need to write more than just an outline. Write up more than just an outline. Although, unfortunately, like I think, well, the players really had a good time. I actually, when I was setting up a game, when I was there, I had overheard a couple players still talking about it. So that was kind of neat. But one player telling the other player how it went, and how he enjoyed it. But they kept all their. I made got them character sheets. They kept them all. So I gotta figure that out, or maybe I don't. Maybe you should be able to run it with your level 3 characters or whatever. I think I made it from level 3, or I can make some suggestions or something like that. Or I could look at my secrets that people know, and yeah, that'd be okay. So anyway, I really enjoy Hyperborea. I think it's going well, and I think, at the end game in this mini campaign. But we'll see. We'll see what the players want to do after. And the Traveler, I think I just wanted to run Legend of the Sky Raiders classic Traveler adventure written by the Keith brothers for FASA. And I had originally there have been a couple hiccups, which is okay in a game, but we're actually probably one good session away from finishing that. But of course, the holidays have come up, and oh my gosh, we're scheduled on a Wednesday, which this year is Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. So not going to work. In any case, I think we'll finish that adventure and see what the players want to do. They definitely will get really well rewarded at the end of this adventure. They've already kind of, in a way, found what they're supposed to find, found the MacGuffin in the adventure. Now they got to get off world and see what happens. So it's a really fun adventure. I have of course tweaked it because I would say, while it's a fun adventure in concept, in implementation, really there's a lot of railroading. And if you know my players, and I've known at least one of my players for like almost 21 years, or more actually, then, well, they go off the rails. And you have to be prepared for that. And you have to tweak things to let them play to their character's strengths and do what smart travelers would do with a military background or a spacer background, or just someone who watches TV nowadays be like, oh, that's kind of dumb. Why wouldn't you do a recon first or something? Anyway, really enjoyable game. Have some really good players. It was fun. The last session was tremendous. Had a good time, and it's been benefited by fun random rolls at the right time. So, which is always a good thing. So Thursday is dedicated to my home group. So I have moved away, as you may have heard, moved away from San Antonio and live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now. And we still are playing remotely. I start a Zoom, I see them at the table, and we play with dice, as I don't know, the dice gods intended, probably. So unless one of the gods of the dice is a AI and a speech, and they want you to use computer dice. Anyway, we were able to finish the Enemy Within campaign for Warhammer Fantasy, and then the idea was to start playing Imperium Maledictum. However, and I was doing an opposite came to, same with the home group, same group of players, and that we were doing Bloodlords campaign for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So the idea was to jump into a similar game to Warhammer Fantasy Imperium Maledictum, but of course in the 40k verse, not the fantasy verse, James Workshop's proprietary universes. But we haven't done that yet, and instead we've taken a pause and are having a palate cleanser, and the palate cleanser is the Star Wars Edge game. I can't remember who publishes it now. Well, it used to be Fantasy Flight, now it's Edge. So it's the Funky Dice Fantasy Flight started for several other games. I think the new L5R also. I like that. I enjoy it. We've enjoyed it. We played Edge of Empire. We played Age of Rebellion. And now we're doing a short mini campaign, Force and Destiny, and it's been really good. I put them at sort of the in the Imperial times, and they have various backgrounds. They're Force users. That's what Force and Destiny is about. They're not Jedi Knights. They don't have their lightsabers. They have no training. They just know something. Well, one of them used to be a Padawan and saw his master killed at Order 66, and pushed him away to save him, type of thing. So it's been pretty interesting, and somehow they found each other. And the first session was, I wish I could have recorded it. It was a tremendous session. I played, if you've seen Andor, there was a speech by Mon Mothma during the second season, and I played that speech as sort of a nascent rebel cell on the world that they were on, had gotten it and had hacked into the system on the datanet system on the world and in the skyport, and a riot, a protest started, and the Imperials escalated it kind of until it became a riot. Could have been was probably meant to be another false flag type event, like was shown in Andor. Sorry, spoiler. But the player characters intervened in a kind of fun, exciting, almost deadly way, actually. And is I can imagine how this would have been a really good piece of Star Wars, like a show, and that's how good I felt it went. And we've continued after that. They had a vision. They found some clues. They're running through this adventure to find out. And they just actually finished the first adventure of this kind of mini campaign, and they found a crystal, and were able to unlock it. And it kind of shows them how to basics of being a Jedi, including how to make a lightsaber. So the next thing they got to research and find out where they can find kyber crystals to make and activate the lightsaber. That's like the first part of the mini campaign. And if we jump in again with Star Wars, Force and Destiny will come back to it like I've done in the past with Edge of Empire and Age of Rebellion as like season 1, 2, 3, whatever. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. We were with a Bloodlords palate cleanser, but just time and the distance and coordination during this time has been a challenge as we get settled here in the DFW area and the holidays. That we haven't had our palate cleanser in between Bloodlords. We finished book 3, and I'm not sure if we're going to continue. I haven't heard a positive from all the players yet about that. So see, which would be unfortunate because we're halfway done. And I think the third adventure is usually a challenge in these Pathfinder adventure paths, in that something happens maybe it's that mechanically in that level for the players when they reach like 11, they're like 11th level now. But it wasn't really that. I think it was just sort of the end. It was kind of like a cat and mouse, but it didn't really make sense. I don't know. It's probably yeah. I mean, I should know my players better. I put that on me. There were some really fun scenes in that adventure, but the adventure kind of dragged, let's say, and then there were some more exciting and fun scenes prior to the conclusion of that adventure. And actually, the fights that I set up that weren't really in the adventure was one of the better ones. So yeah, I think the next book 4 is more interesting. It's full of more intrigue. It does have more of a setup and get you to what Pathfinder 2 does well is get you to a good fight. So that's what you want to highlight in Pathfinder 2, and I think book 4 can do that. However, we were going to do a palate cleanser, just running some D&D, and I think I was going to continue our Ghost of Saltmarsh. We had done Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh for 5e. We finished that adventure, and then I was just going to open up the sandbox that it has in the book for Ghost of Saltmarsh, and then let the players explore it, and maybe they'll go to the next adventure, Danger of Dunwater, or find something else. That might be kind of fun to do as a palate cleanser, and then try to convince them to jump back into Bloodborne. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So we come to Friday. And Friday, I have one game on Fridays right now, and that's Masks of Nyarlathotep. But I am not running it in the 1920s, and I am not using any Chaosium rule set BRP to run it. I'm using Cohorts Cthulhu, and it's set in the Roman times, circa I think Antoninus Pius is the emperor right now. The first adventure was during the time of Hadrian, but he has passed on since then. I ran the prologue. I thought it went really well. If you know the new Masks of Nyarlathotep, has set in Peru, but I said in Germania, and I thought it went really well. And now we're not in New York in the first part of the adventure proper, but we are in Rome, and the players have just visited Juju House in the Suburra. How I put it in the Suburra in ancient-ish Rome, first century CE Rome, and yeah, it was cool. So again, holidays have prevented us from continuing right now, but I think I have a good cast again with Streamrolla, Hurricane Alienist, and Harlan. And if anyone else wants to join, play Fridays, usually every other, and it's been a really good time. And it's a good system. It's a Modifius 2d20 system, but I think it lends itself well to a more pulp, heroic treatment of the mythos tale. So we like it, and I think it's done well on our channel. People seem to enjoy it, and it's different. So you always try to be different, right? But I'm so glad we finished at least the prologue. We'll see how. And I think Rome is going well, and they're almost done really with Rome. Honestly, I tend to see that my players don't screw around. They tend to get to the action quick, and I don't know if it's just a good synergy between myself and them, and they take the hints that I give, or maybe I'm too easy. But it's all through. I don't know. It's all through roles. I don't lead them by the nose and go in their own direction, I would say. And they find out the answers, how they find them out, and not necessarily in the traditional way that you do in the adventure as written. I think that is as it should be. The adventure is just a guideline, and it should not be a railroad. Anyway, my 2 cents there. So Saturday, although we haven't played it on Saturdays recently, but Saturday has been where I run the One Ring. I have 2 players in that one. Each of them plays 2-player heroes, Streamrolla and Arlen of Live from Pelham's Wasteland. And we're playing through the ruins of the Lost Realms. But really, the One Ring is a sandbox that's set in Eriador. And the players take hooks and find out things and get directions, sometimes from their patron, but they go and do their own thing. And I think that's been one of my favorite games that we've been running consistently. And we've concluded this year in 2025, and the video will be out early in 2026, I believe, where the players are at the doors of Dern. So that's cool. That's one of those, wow, if you're playing a game in the Lord of the Rings, you want to be there near Moria. Moria is the mega dungeon. So yeah, they have some ambition to get in there, to go there, to find things there that are important to the player heroes. So yeah, I think it's really cool. There's a lot of other hooks that they can take. They've run into agents of Saruman. Saruman has invited them to Orthanc. So should be interesting how the 2026 year happens. I mean, one of the players was able to conquer a Palantir. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but the rolls are hard, and the player did it. It's documented. And one of the players failed miserably and took on a lot of shadow. I really enjoy the One Ring 2E that Free League has put out. I think it really has a great interplay between the fatigue of a journey that you have to endure in the world, and also this synergy between hope and despair of shadow. And I think the mechanics kind of feed into that, and I think it really conveys that time period in the Lord of the Rings. And I know if we have a pause in this game, Arlen Walker has promised that we're going to run something. He's going to run something in sort of the first stage where we're superhero elves, which would be great. Because we ran into some, or the players ran into some at the White Towers, and I think those would be 2 fun player heroes to try to work up and run in the first stage during some of the many crazy things that happened during that time period. So I really enjoy One Ring. We do have one player who joined and has not been able to join again, and they might come back in 2026. I hope they do, and we'll have even more fun, more players. So that brings us to Sunday, and Sunday is AD&D 1E, and I've been running against the Slave Lords, traditionally set in Greyhawk. This is before the Greyhawk Wars as well. So kind of I found the timeline when traditionally it's supposed to have been run or supposed to have occurred, these events of the against the Slave Lords. It's the first ones. So we played a D0, which is Danger at Darkshelf Quarry. Is that right? Yeah. Danger at Darkshelf Quarry D0 was adventure for first to through third level characters created by Skip Williams for an anniversary edition, the hardback anniversary edition of A1 through A4 that was put out by Wizards of the Coast. And then they're in Highport, where A1 takes place, and we did another adventure from a dungeon called Lowdown in Highport, which kind of begged. It's a campaign. It's not a tournament. We're not doing a tournament module as designed. It's a campaign. So I, as a GM, am like, have to ask the players the questions. How are you going to get these people that you rescue out of the city? And Lowdown and Highport kind of help to answer that. They've set up an operation. They have a network. There's a way to do this so that it makes sense for me, because I think the GM has to be immersed in the world as well. But other things have happened due to this sort of sandbox style campaign that I'm running, and the players could go in multiple directions. I do hope we do get to A1, A2, etc., and that might be the next task that we go through. But currently, as 2026 ends, or 2026 begins and 2025 ends, the players are in the Outer Planes. And how they got there, well, I guess you're going to have to go watch the YouTubes. But it's pretty interesting how that occurred. And I think it's been really cool, just the role-playing aspect of this AD&D 1E campaign without, rules for diplomacy and social conflict and the like. It's just good players, I think, buying in. I do make heavy use, yes, of the percentile dice reaction roll. Sometimes I get lazy and use the 2d6, but for the most part, I use the reaction rolls to kind of dictate, and of course the motivations of the NPCs. As if I find them or I stat them up or I roll them, I use cards a la Twilight 2000. You can draw cards and it tells you, what their kind of basic drives are and how strong it is. But yeah, and I roll with that. It's I feel like it's been pretty emergent, and one of my favorite things about this game and Hyperborea is always the random treasure roll. I think that's what they're intended to do, is to be like, wow, we found that. That's pretty cool. And it was a random roll. So I guess there's a couple other games that we haven't gotten back to that are not run on a particular day, but as ad hoc. And those have been Wrath and Glory. I tried a Wrath and Glory game. That's such a good system. And I want to get back to Wrath and Glory, take place in the 40k universe. And you could do different tiers of play. And we were doing tier 1 soldiers, actually, in it, on attacking cult infested or heretics, more or less. But yeah, it was a hive infested with heretics. Roll that up. That rolls off the tongue. So that was pretty good. I would like to get back to it. It's a good system. And then I've been doing a sort of a 1v1 dual play with my wife, and we did like a AD&D N4 treasure hunt, and I want to continue with that. I think it could be a fun story set in the realms, in the Moonshade Islands, actually. Which brings me to another pause. Those are the games that I've run or have been running, and now I want to talk about a couple games that I'd like to run in the new year. I'm sure there's many others that I could run, that I might run. Oh, maybe there's 3. There's probably 3 that are on my top 3 that I'd like to see happen in 2026. So I'll pause really briefly, get a drink, come back with that last segment. All right, and you're back. Well, I'm back. Are you back for more? Turn away. You're back for more. In the immortal words of Stephen Piercy and Rat from Out of the Cellar, circa 1984. I can't believe that came out in 1984. Wow. Okay. That's a pretty good album. I kind of like their next album after that. Although Out of the Cellar does have Wanted Man, You're in Trouble, Round and Round, Lack of Communication, Back for More, The Morning After. That's pretty good. All right. Not The Morning After by Duran Duran. That's a good song too. Anyway. All right. Well, what games? I had a list of games that I wanted to, were kind of on my bucket list to run in 2026. I don't know if bucket list is that's the cliche, but I really have been talking about a few of them, and I'd like to get them to the table. One of them, first, the one that maybe I've thought about maybe the most, is a Githyanki invasion scenario. Ideally, I would have two groups, one playing Githyanki, one playing sort of the invaded planet group, invaded world group. Though, and I don't know, I might go on a limb and do my own homeworld type of thing. Maybe use Worlds Without Number or something similar to, speaking of which, bundle of holding, World Without Number or something similar. Sorry, I was a little distracted. I remember there was a Worlds Without Numbers bundle that is over the time of recording in 6 hours. Got a lot of good bundles of holding. Sorry for the um, distraction, but one that is very interesting is Traveler Ancients. I'm running, like I said, right now, Mysteries of the Ancients, and as this when this comes out, if I come out on Boxing Day, happy Boxing Day, by the way, to all of those in England and wherever else celebrates Boxing Day. Do we? I don't think we celebrate Boxing Day. Anyway, in the U.S., that is, does Canada? Canada, maybe. Anyway, the Ancients trilogy is there, Mysteries, which I'm running, Secrets, which I have, and Wrath, which I do not. But these are all combined. It's 13 days, so 11 days after this. Then there's also, it seems, there's another Traveler one too, Traveler Explorations, which is also 13 days, and that's the starter collection, Behind the Claw, Swords of Worlds, Aliens of Charted Space, an adventure, Scander's Pick, which is an adventure for your sword wielders, two Spinward March of Source books, and The Lost Duke, which I don't know what that is. The Bowman Arm, well, that's, what is the bonus collection? Source books, what's source books? Oh, Bowman Arm Lunan, that's pretty good. And The Lost Duke, it's an adventure. It's Traveler Adventure number something something. Den of Adventure number 1. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna, maybe, I don't know if I'm gonna run another Travel Adventure. Maybe. However, like I was saying, I would like to run the Yankee Invasion, and if I use World with that number, hence the digression, then I could make my own world and set it there instead of using a known world. I'm already running a game in Eberron. It could be interesting in Eberron, but Eberron is also post-war type. Like, it's supposed to be like, the interwar period between World War One and World War Two, but in a fantasy kind of setting. But the other game I'd like to run, and I just got kind of for Christmas the Forgotten Realms Heroes of Faerun and Adventures in Faerun. I have all the books somewhere, from the gray books in AD&D 1 in first edition, the blue books in second edition. I have the third edition book. The gray ones and the blue ones are in storage somewhere. Fortunately, I have the third on my shelf. I kind of skipped the fourth and fifth because I didn't think they did anything new. Really, they did regional books like Tomb of Annihilation, the Apocalypse one did some sort of region. So, Icewind Dale did Icewind Dale, I'm the Frost Maiden. But this nice new edition, the 2024 edition, they did a whole Realms book, and the Adventures book is really good. Adventures in Faerun. Even if you don't play in the Realms, they have like tons of like one-page adventures in here, which is amazing, that you could use and probably port into, because it is one-page adventures poured into any world that you're choosing. So it's a pretty handy resource. And if you're a Realms fan like I am, well, it's definitely very handy. But then, of course, you're like, oh, where do I want to run it? I don't know. I really would like to run maybe vanilla Realms, like in the Dale Lands. Why not? I've started some here and there before. I've always wanted to run the there's this adventure called Raiders of Garroth's Roost or something like that. Raiders of Carlos. Karloff's Goose, something similar to that. But Galloff's Goose. I was in the dungeon, the dungeon magazines, and then I kind of play in the Dale Lands area for a while. They could go to Myth Draenor. They could go to the Moonsea area, deal with Centaur Central Keep, go into Cormier, wherever, play around on the Reach, travel throughout the Dale Lands, and then eventually try to get him into City of the Spider Queen, which is an Underdark, a really epic Underdark adventure that I've always liked and wanted to run. So that would be pretty cool. So yeah, Vanilla Realms will be fun, and why not use the 2024, take advantage of the Heroes of the Realms and all the support in the new timeline. They have like what time it is, what timeline it is. 1501 Tale Reckoning, I think, is the new time. I feel like maybe the original one started like 1483. Tale Reckoning, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it did. I'll have to look. Hold on. I'm sure someone's yelling at me. I found it. 1358. Wow, that first edition was 1358. So it's been like 150 years or so. Almost, yeah, about 150 years since then. I guess I had a lot of crazy things happen. When I look at the book, the new book, it has a good timeline actually. So did the 3.5, and actually I'm looking at, surprisingly, one of the books that I really used the hell out of in first edition, which was Savage Frontier by Janelle Jacques. Actually, I did not know Janelle did this one. So that's pretty cool. Cover art by Larry Elmore. It's a hobgoblin about to throw a spear at you. In the background, there's like a frost giant. I don't know. These Zentarum, I don't know. These are bad guys. On a sled, mountains in the background. Did that. That was cover art. I just told you. Larry Elmore did the cover art. Anyway, pretty cool. Good stuff. I really played the crap out of the North already. Played in and around the big city, Waterdeep, along the Sword Coast. I've always wanted to do like Lands of Intrigue, and I have like books for Callum Shan and Lands of Intrigue. I did a long running campaign in the Vilhan Reach 3.0 for 5 days. That went pretty cool. It went to Epic, and they fought against Shadowvar. That was kind of into second. Well, that was the third edition. It was third edition. The Shadowvar third edition. Played here and there, but I've never done like a strict. I did like a few adventures in the Heartlands, but not a strict adventure. Then of course I did stuff in Kara Tour, which is the Asian part of the world, the Asian Orthodox part of the world. So yeah, maybe they told. I know there's a timeline anyway. This is the new book, the Forgotten Realms Heroes, the Pharaoh, Welcome to the Pharaoh, and all that. That's pretty good. Also, there's have to be character options, of course, Guide to the Realms. And they have there's time in the realms. They give you like, the time, like calendar, Harptos, the gods of Faerun. I mean, I know Faerun a lot better than the Greyhawk, though I'm really enjoying Greyhawk when I'm learning in my 1E campaign. But let's see. So yeah, 1358, Time of Troubles. I guess that's when the Time of Troubles happened. Let's say 21st to second edition. Netherrealm returned in 1372. Shadowfell, Shadowvar people. And they did the Spellplague thing in 1385, and then there was the Sundering. It lasted a long time. Now the current year is many, many years later. So the effects of the Spellplague were reversed. So that never happened. Never happened. So that was a fourth edition. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, Time of Troubles was switched to second edition. Netherrealm returns third edition. Spellplague switched to fourth. Second century, 1489. Aberrant control separate again, and Spellplague was reversed, so no more floating rocks, and then yes, the floating rocks in the present day in 1501. That's pretty cool. That's in the anyway. Yeah, and so Vanilla Realms campaign, and using the new edition. Why not? Although I could jump back to 3.5. Yeah, speaking of which, in the Githyanki invasion, I think I probably would use 3.5 or Pathfinder 1 to run that. Although, one of my buddies, I think Arcane Alienist, informed me that there's a good treatment of Githyanki, Githiri, etc. in 5th edition. But, might be fun to run a 3.5 or Pathfinder type of campaign for the Githyanki invasion. The last thing I'd like to get going or start is to run like another sci-fi game. Not really sci-fi horror, although Mothership is always fun to do, and I've run a couple of Motherships this year on the channel, but nothing regular, nothing really stuck. I do enjoy that game. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy Alien, the new one by Freely, but I just finished reading Chasm City by Alistair Reynolds. I've always loved the world that he created in the Revelation space worlds the universe that he created, and I'd like to run a game in Revelation space. Probably, I've heard really good things about Stars Without Number, so I think I have it as a PDF somewhere anyway, but yeah, maybe I'll use Stars Without Number, or at least find a map, use the system map to create the stars with the systems, and then use a different game. Maybe since there's no so Revelation space, there's no light speed, so travel takes a very long time. So as does communication clearly. So and I just read, but a lot of other things like transhumanism, approach of singularity, and all that are part of it. Aliens that really hate humanity in a way, or aliens that really there to be traded with, to be honestly exploited, or are a danger to humanity. So I think it's a pretty interesting treatment of a hard sci-fi to a space opera in scope, world universe ending type of ramifications. But it'd be fun to run a game set in Chasm City or anywhere else in that Revelation space area. There are different worlds that you can start in. And I always felt like Infinity got close to that. Infinity set of worlds got close to the feel of Revelation space, but I don't know, something. It'd be good to get to like a more gritty sci-fi feel in Revelation space. I read it and BJ Arcade Alienist borrow it. Maybe we'll talk about it. I don't know. On one of these podcasts one of these days. But I'd like to set a game in Revelation space. There are stars with that number, like I mentioned, Traveler, and then the new Pioneer RPG using sort of the Mongoose 2d6 system could be cool too, because that is pre jumps travel. So it's supposed to be frontier building, frontier space type of game, near future type of game, which would be really neat. I like that setting. I had really fun time running Transhuman Space. It was a GURPS product setting, a GURPS setting product, but I converted, quote unquote, into using Hero System, and it was at a really great group of players who had various different stories going on. A couple of them, and there's just various stories in the world, and they would hear about each other's stories. It's kind of like multiple dual plays. I don't think they ever. Some characters interacted sort of in the same scene, but not totally. It was interesting. So fun stuff. I always try to get the characters together, but never worked out in those play-by-post days. There were some times when I did have a good group and we stuck together, ran a few adventures. Anyway, I have good groups now, so I'm not too worried about that, and I hope they will indulge some of these ideas that I have. So thank you all for listening and putting up with me for another year. 2025 was a very interesting year for me. Very different change of life and lifestyle and location, but life goes on, and I still like to play this hobby. I still want to work on getting YouTube together. I think I might try to jump back. Something that did really well is when we did reviews. Like Amy and I would go in and do reviews. We did Western series reviews, and we had a couple of guests here and there, and it worked really well. And they did really well for us also. So maybe I will get back to some of those movie reviews, maybe World War II movies or action movies or something similar that doesn't cross with one of my buddies who does a lot of movie reviews on his channel, Jason Connerly. Thank you again, Jason, for the message, and thank you everyone for listening. This has been The Geomologist Presents. You can get a hold of me or leave a message by emailing me at gmologist@gmail.com. Watch out, autocorrect. Try to force you to use gemologist, but it's not, no E, gemologist. And you can also leave me a voicemail on SpeakPipe or create a voice recording, and drop it to me through Discord as a direct message. So my wife, Amy, does the cover clip art, and my buddy, TJ, does the intro outro. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night and good rolling. But wait, one more thing. I forgot to mention that Dark Fluid has done a podcast during the month of December using a gift that he got sort of in time with Advent and the Advent calendar. And it's a solo adventure. And it's really been really good. Go check out The Silver Key on Substack and listen to Dark Fluid without me, which probably sounds better. But yeah, take a look. Thanks, Dark Fluid, for joining me for the heavy metal review. That was really fun. Now we get to do more. And thanks for joining in the comments that and answering the comment that Jason Connerly provided. Okay, this is it. You'll hear music. Bye.